SpaRetailer audience. I am really excited to bring you this video. It's something totally new for us. We are going to delve into a specific issue that a retailer is experiencing and try to come up with some solutions for them. You may recognize Danielle Lavallee Wasson from My Retail Coach. She has been writing the new column for the magazine this year, and this is what she does day in and day out, works one-on-one with retailers to help them improve their business. So thank you so much for joining us and doing this, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Megan. It's a pleasure to be here.
And then also joining us is a hot tub retailer, Shawn Maynard and his son, Terran, from Bullfrog Spas of Northern Utah. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for being willing to share your experiences with us today.
Right. Thanks for having us, Megan.
So Shawn is actually probably one of the first people I ever interviewed when I started working at the magazine back in 2008. At that time, he just had one location in Ogden, Utah, but that is not the case anymore, is it, Shawn?
No, we've got 3 locations now, and we've expanded 5 times.
All right. And that's kind of the issue that we're going to be talking to Danielle about today. You've maxed out capacity at your current locations. Is that right?
Yeah, not just showroom space, but bandwidth of our people. In the beginning, I did all the sales and the accounting and everything, and we hire and hire and hire, and we're at another stage where really we're kind of maxed out. We're selling a lot of spas and doing a lot of deliveries, and that's where we're at.
Not a bad problem to have, but still an issue you have to fix.
It's definitely, a challenge that we see a lot of retailers have. They either don't grow and they're stagnant, which is not Shawn's case. And I've known Shawn for, Shawn, 16 plus years now, right?
Right, forever, since the beginning.
And I know. I remember Terran was like little. I think I have a picture of Terran in a hot tub at a trade show. And he was just couldn't even fill a chair in there. But, luckily, because of Shawn's really great imagination and incredible willingness to work hard. And I'll say this, most small business owners, especially in retail, especially in the pool and spa industry, have to be psychologists with staff and customers, marriage counselors, salesperson, as Shawn was saying. Shawn's a really incredible salesperson, but he has to also be a business manager. And at this point, with 3 stores and large volumes of deliveries, there's like a breaking point where you really have to become a project manager / business manager more than a salesperson. Or if you are the best salesperson, do that and hire a project manager or a manager that can take care of all the moving parts. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Shawn, I think this is kind of where you're kind of at this point, because you're sweeping the floor, you're doing shows, you're doing all this, and hopefully Terran will be able to pick up the slack on some of this now that he'll be graduating from college. But why don't you, kind of chime in and say specifically what you would think are your top 3 main issues at this point?
I always thought sales was the hardest thing to accomplish, and then everything else would follow. That's sort of true. But I've reached a point now where I spend 60% of my time managing logistics, just arranging the calendar and who's going to do what, how's this going to happen, and making sure we're picking up spas on time and all of those things. So it's a big change from how it used to be.
Absolutely. Terran, any thoughts on that? You have sort of a different outlook maybe on the business than your dad, Shawn, has. Coming out of university and maybe with some fresh new ideas. And what would you think are the main 2 or 3 issues in the business right now?
I definitely agree that managing the logistics of everything is a big struggle. Another thing that I think and Shawn and I have been talking about this recently, is how to transition the culture of the company from being a small business to being something a little bit bigger, taking that next step forward.
Yeah. So one of the questions I would have on that Because the last thing we want is we don't want to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, right? You have a very successful and a very profitable business right now. I think so there's a danger zone of saying let's try and change the culture and do this and do that, and then lose profitability and maybe even passion, because I've met some of your staff, I've trained some of your staff, and I know that there's a lot of passion in your business, and we don't want to lose that, right? You don't want to lose that friendly, warm family atmosphere that you've spent 15 plus years building. So there's that fine line of becoming more corporate while maintaining the mom and pop feel, because your customers feel that. Your customers come to your store because it's friendly and fun and dynamic, and you do the July 4th parade and all this fun, community stuff. We don't want to lose that, right?
I would agree with that for sure. I think that's one of our strong points but to elaborate on that a little bit more, I think the culture of it is kind of shifting responsibilities a little bit off our shoulders, because as Shawn said, a lot of what we do is everything. So how do we teach and train employees and whatnot to help take care of that?
So I'm going to take notes, and I don't want to be rude thinking that I'm not looking at you guys, but I just want to jot myself a few notes. So question one would be, what systems do you have in place? Let's separate logistics of spa deliveries, customer retention / follow-up, and then management, administration, accounting. So do you have, let's start with the logistics of, walk me through the logistics of a customer comes in, buys a spa, then what?
Right, so the next step is kind of divided up into a couple of different task team members. So we have the accounting department that makes the file, arranges for funding, the accounting back end part of it. And then we have the delivery team. So we have to order the spas, make them land here on time, and schedule all of those deliveries. And sometimes, when we're extra busy in December, we're used to delivering 4 or 5 spas a day, and we're delivering 6 or 7 a day. And so now, how are we going to do that? We've got to be lots more efficient about managing the geography and the routes and what size spas and all those things.
So what system are you using? Is it pen and paper?
Right, so back in the day, it was a whiteboard, and you'd write on the whiteboard, this is what we're going to do this week, right? And eventually we outgrew that, and more people needed visibility all the time. And so today we're forcing Google Calendar to work for us. It's worked pretty good. Everybody has visibility. It's easy enough to manipulate, but it has limitations, and we've reached that.
Okay. So the first thing I would recommend, of course, would be to get a better system, like an actual scheduling, optimization of routes system where you could plug that information in, and that system could optimize your routes geographically and time-wise, to allow your whole team to be on that. And I'll have a couple of recommendations maybe towards the end of our call. I made some calls and did a little research for you before this call. But Google Calendar is great because, of course, everybody can see it, but it does not allow you to maximize routes.
Right. It certainly doesn't do anything on its own. The person plugging it in has to know the geography of the region and be smart about all that. And today, I feel like that's me. I have to look at the calendar every day and rearrange things and make sure that we're optimized. So Terran's been shopping for those programs, and that's where we're at. We're deciding to now spend the money, invest whatever it is for that type of a system.
Yep. Just out of curiosity, how many hours a week are you working, Shawn?
Oh, probably 70 or so.
Yeah.
I don't know, Terran, what do you think?
In total, or just spent working on the calendar?
Total.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in school right now, so there's limitations to how many hours I can put in. But
Yeah.
for Shawn, he's there before same time as the delivery guys, and he leaves after all the sales staff. So long days.
Yeah, and so we don't want Shawn to burn out. and I know that he tends to be like the Energizer Bunny, but at some point, even the Duracell batteries fail at some point. So, okay, second thing. So we definitely, a big recommendation would be to get a route management system to help you optimize that part, spend less time. You could probably save about 10 hours a week if you had a good system just on your calendar scheduling issues. The second part, now let's look at our customers, because at this point, if I do quick math in my head in the last 15 years, based on volume over the years, you have to have thousands, getting close to maybe 5 digits, right, of customers out there that you've delivered spas to. What's happening with those? Like, do you know what your retention rate is? Like, do you know once you sell a spa, if you sell 100 spas, how many of those customers are you retaining to buy all the chemicals, replacement covers, the accessories that come with that? Do you have an idea?
So we sort of have an idea. Basically, we know how many spas we delivered this year. We know how many, pallets of chemicals we've sold. So we estimate what that retention is occasionally, but for sure that's an opportunity, right? We're growing enough that we kind of haven't really cared about that because we keep growing and stuff's happening. But that's unfortunate, right? We should do lots better at that.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine if you could really truly calculate your customer retention rate and say, okay, we're losing, maybe we're losing 20% of our customers to where they're buying their chemicals at Home Depot, just an example, or at a big box, retail of something like Leslie's or something like that. If you can bring those people back to buy chemicals or a leaf skimmer, whatever accessory, imagine what that could do to your bottom line without necessarily having to expand, right? One of the concerns I always have when dealers say we're maxed out where we are, let's go and expand, let's buy another warehouse, let's buy another store so we can sell more. But really, are you really optimized where you are if you start to automate and systemize? So one of the things, with this opportunity of all these old customers, and maybe there's a whole bunch of those old ones that you've just lost track of, and they've lost track of you. Maybe now that you have 3 stores, maybe there's a new store of yours that's closer to their home, and that's why they weren't coming to the original store, right? So that's like massive opportunity, in my opinion, where you could get tons more repeat business, return business. Do you guys do service?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so
that's a big part of the calendar too, right? I've got 3 trucks driving around. Where are they going? And they generate sales too, right? They find a broken spa, and now they'll come buy a new spa.
Yes. And are you just fixing the Bullfrog spas, or are you fixing any brand?
Oh my gosh, we fix every brand. And this last year, 3 of our competitors went out of business and orphaned all their customers. So we inherited at least one of them, we inherited their records and their service guy and all their customers. And we're trying to keep up with that.
Yeah. So again, those service routes, if you had a system where you could optimize routing of service trucks, that would help as well, right? Because they could probably service more customers in the same day, which if they're servicing more customers in the same day, you're making more money, they're making more money.
Right. So the tendency of the person answering the phone here is to find that customer a service tech as soon as possible.
Yes.
And look at the calendar and find the very next opportunity and schedule them. And that's usually the least efficient route. if we wouldn't do that, we could service 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more customers a day.
Correct.
That would enable us to service everybody better.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. This is 100%. I mean, everything you're saying to me, like a big chunk of probably your deep frustrations and what's taking up a lot of time and costing you a lot of money. It could turn into, tens of thousands of dollars at the end of the year. And certainly allow you to maybe go home for dinner at 7 instead of 9. Having this system in place would really be a huge, massive help to you, right? And you've got, Terran coming in, who could probably implement that and teach everybody how to use it and make it, I like to use young people for stuff like this. No insults intended, Terran, but they're just more apt to learning an app very quickly, even if you had one that had an application as well, with the possibility of billing on the phone. So again, now let's go back to our customer retention. How about customer follow-up? People come in, what's your closing ratio, do you know?
Oh, if you ask my sales guys, it's 100%. We don't close, we're really customers anyway. But
Yeah.
That's not true. And no, we really don't know. We think, we wish, we hope, but we don't know. We're not good at it.
Yes.
We close a lot. I know we close more than anyone else, but I think there's still lots of opportunity.
Obviously, yeah. And because there's a point where, although you have 3 competitors that close down, that probably means within a year you'll have a competitor that'll open back up, right? Somebody new will come into town because they'll see this opportunity there.
Yeah. Because
people talk. So, again, a follow-up system, I would recommend that because you have 3 stores, it might be really good to get just a door counter, a digital door counter that just counts how many people come in and out of the store. They are super cheap. You can get them for under $200. And it just counts the number of people that come in and out. Some of them have a ding, some of them don't have a ding, some of them are laser beams, some of them have a mat when people step on it. There's different kinds. I would recommend you count that, because if you ask your salespeople to count on their own and just say, every time somebody comes in, make a little bar on a piece of paper, I want to know how many people are coming in, they won't do it. Or they'll fudge the numbers because they don't want to appear lazy. Right? So get a digital counter. It won't cost you much. What it will give you, Shawn, as a business owner is 2 things. 1, how many people came in the door? Then at the end of each day or week or whatever, you can say, okay, 100 people came in and we have 12 sales tickets, regardless of it's a pint of chemical or a hot tub. Just how many people came in, how many people bought something. That gives you a sort of a ratio of sales to customer ratio. And what it gives you as a business owner is you can say, oh, wait a minute, this store all of a sudden is super slow. I'm not getting traffic there like I used to. What's happening? Let's maybe redo our Google AdWords, or let's redo our advertising, or let's have a big event at that store. What's happening? Because right now you're kind of, you're a little bit like cowboyish, right? Like the great Wild West of business ownership. and it's really worked so far, and it will probably continue to work. But if you could find these systems where you can have data instead of running around all over the place and getting exhausted and tired, and eventually, unfortunately, you'll probably become ill, because you can't run like that for ever and ever and ever. And unfortunately, you and I both have gray hair now, where we didn't have our gray hair 15 years ago when we met, but now we do. So there's a point where you won't be able to sustain this pace, right? You just can't. And if you want Terran to be able to run the business efficiently and not run away with his hair sticking up in the air because he's scared because he sees all the work, just becoming more efficient. So I would strongly recommend you get some door counters, and that can hold your staff, your sales staff accountable as well, right? You say, hey, we've had approximately, because of course the staff comes in and out of the door as well, but we've had approximately 25 people come in the store this week and not one sale. What's happening, guys? Then tie that into a follow-up system. If they are collecting people's names and addresses, and I'm sure when they're doing a quote, they're getting their info, right?
Right. Yeah, we're really good at making a quote.
Yep.
Even if we're not closing the sale, right, the inclination, the easy thing to do is just go, well, here's a brochure, come see me. And so we've tried really hard to, okay, we're going to at least make a quote.
Yes.
But I'm probably the worst at the next step, right? We've got the quote. Now we should do something with it. We should reach out to them. Hey, remember you were here last week? And I have some salespeople that are really good at it, right? They came from car sales or whatever, and they're tenacious about it.
Yes.
But I'm distracted, right? I meet with the customer, and now I've got to come do all these other things that aren't sales related.
Correct.
And so put it in a drawer. And so I know that we need to make that a CMR program.
Yes. Yes, of course. But it needs to be, even for your sales staff, if you had a follow-up system that was automated, you can't get away from the human touch. We're selling hot tubs. Hot tubs are personal. They're, warm. You can't just rely on text messages or emails to think that somebody's just going to go, oh, on this email, I'm just going to call Shawn and give him my credit card. You're going to you have to call them and bring them back in, or maybe do a site inspection. But having some form of automation on your follow-up system would make a huge difference, because again, your competition, might it even be another Bullfrog dealer not too far away, if they're doing it, you'll lose out on those. So my gut feeling tells me that if you did have a CRM to take care of at least part of the automation, you take a quote, you just put their information online, and then have it feed out to them, and a reminder that comes on your phone that says, hey, Shawn, you're supposed to call Danielle regarding her spa. Then you don't have to remember that it's in a drawer somewhere. Who did I talk to 3 weeks ago? I forgot to call them, etc. If it's automated, even with your salespeople, right? If they get an automated text or a message or an email that says, you're supposed to follow up on this person, it removes the forgetfulness, it removes the laziness potentially, and just the busyness. Life gets in the way. Unfortunately, life gets in the way. We have all the best intentions. We want to do well by our customers, but life just gets in the way. As you mentioned, you're having to do the service route scheduling, the spa delivery scheduling, making sure, I'm sure that the spas are coming on time from the manufacturer, all these moving parts. Payroll, we're not even talking now about payroll, employee issues, complaints, all the other stuff that comes with it. Advertising, getting ready for the next home show. How many shows are you doing a year now?
Less than we used to, now that we have stores everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not as much. There was a time when I probably did 40 shows a year. I mean, we would just start and go every week. We were in 1 or 2 or 3 places. Now we're doing less, maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah. But they're probably bigger.
But they're bigger, and they perform, better. Before it was more guerrilla.
Yeah.
We do less of that now, but still we do some. We have the monster truck we take to things, and all of those kinds of unique things that I love to market with, and I feel great about that.
Well, good. I've asked you what you think is going wrong in the business. What's going well? What are the top 3 things you would not want to change? And I'll ask both of you, because in case you might have different answers.
I'm sure we'll have different answers. Well, I love our success. We sell a lot of spas and we get referrals, and I think we would do a really good job of having the culture that we're here to do a good job for the customer. We want to leave them with a positive experience, and we hope for good Google feedback, and we get that now and again. And I want to retain that culture. I want everybody to be on the same page of, hey, we're here to provide a good experience, not to just finish the task and kick you out the door.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Terran?
So maybe it's not that different from what he said. So I'm calling in from our Logan store, which is our newest store. We've been here about 3 years, and I think we've done a fantastic job. It's kind of a smaller community. I think we've done a fantastic job of becoming everybody's hot tub guy. In every neighborhood, there's a Bullfrog, and if somebody wants to get a Bullfrog, they know who to go to.
Good.
So I think we've done a great job of that.
Okay. What other two things would you not want to change in the business as a whole?
Do not want to change.
Yeah. What would you not want to change?
I don't know. I almost feel like everything needs to change always a little bit. I mean, the website's built, but it's not really built. There's processes, but they need to be better.
Yeah. So
the culture I wouldn't change.
Yeah.
But I hope everything else evolves to keep up.
Exactly.
The application is so much more than it used to be. And
Exactly.
the shopper paradigm is so different.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The customer. I was reading a research study that was done that is showing that now and in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to dramatically get worse or better depending on your perspective. But the consumer now is so geared on the shopping experience. It's no longer about just the product or the pretty colors on the paint on the wall. It's about how you made them feel. And consumers and the younger crowd, Terran's roughly a little younger than my son, but that the 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds, it's even more prominent in that age group. They are 100% geared towards the experience. How does that make me feel? Is it cool to go there? Can I send my friends there? And they are willing, the experience is actually trumping the price and the product. By that, the research is showing that the price and the product is almost secondary to the experience. Imagine that, right? So as you look at improving the structure and the organization of your business, don't lose sight of what, in my opinion, I'm throwing you a huge compliment here, Shawn. One of the things that you have done masterfully, and I think this is where your success is coming from, is you've been creating experiences for customers 15 years ago when everybody else was concentrating on price or product. You've always, you have your monster truck and you were doing all this guerrilla marketing and you were everywhere and, shooting water at July 4th parade out of a hot tub on a trailer to the little kids with water guns. And you really created an experience and people followed you because of that. And your customers come back when they move and they want another spot. So you're, on that side, you've done a masterful job. So I would encourage you as you're kind of growing up and putting in some systems to be more corporate oriented, don't lose what you've done so well for all these years, which is continue to build on the customer experience, because everything I've read, all the research, everything is pointing to the experience trumping price and product. And that's, a lot of dealers I fear are going to lose track of that and try to just always sell on price, and that's just not going to work in the future. So, and you're already doing that. So my biggest comment to you is don't lose that as you implement sort of more corporate-ish type systems, which you need to do. But don't lose the consumer part. Don't lose that experience, and for your staff too, because your staff have fun. So you don't lose that culture, because I think it's what differentiates you from a lot of dealers in town. I promised you I would do research, and I did. So I found a couple of systems that could really help with all of the above. One is out of Australia called Snorkel, and I will email you, and Megan, I will send you the links to their companies as well. If you want to put that out there, that's fine. One is Snorkel. It's out of Australia. It was developed by a spa dealer who runs multiple stores and sells in the 4-digit spas per year. And he's developed a good, it's pretty solid. It's specifically geared for spa dealers. So he developed it. It took him 2 years to develop it, and now they're selling it to other spa dealers. So it's called Snorkel. It's pretty cool. And I'll send you Duncan's information so you can reach out to him. The other one that's been out for quite a while is RB Controls, which is a North America-based system. And they have all of the above. The one thing they would have that Snorkel does not is the route optimization. They actually have a route optimization in the RB Controls systems, and RB Controls is strictly for swimming pool and spa dealers and hearth dealers. That's all they cater to. They have a billing and invoicing to customers portion. They have a portion that can tie into your chemical testing program, so all the leads go into the same spot. They have a route optimization, like I mentioned, and a CRM all built in. So Snorkel has all that except for the mapping, because of course Snorkel is in Australia, so RB Controls is here, so they've figured that out. And the other one is Evosus. Evosus is very sophisticated, and it's probably the most expensive of all the solutions that are out there. It's very, very sophisticated, but you might just take a look at it. We're ready. So we took a little break there, so we're coming back, and so you've got those 3 systems. Take a look at those. I'm sure there's tons more. Those are just nice because they're pool and spa industry related, and I just think that's, if you go to a different company that's used to dealing with a shoe store, you're going to have a lot of data entry to do, and it's going to be complicated. Any questions from Terran at this point on what we've talked about, or comments you'd like to make, if this was a helpful session for you?
Yeah, I think so. And we talked a lot just a minute ago about customer experience and not compromising culture as we transition and moving into more of a corporate culture. But I think that finding solutions like you mentioned that will give better customer relation management, and the whole sales process can be alleviated, and all the way down to service, I think that contributes both to, making our business run more efficiently and providing a better experience to the customer. But I feel like we're in kind of a weird space where we're between small business and the next stage, and the solutions that are offered to help, manage CRM and sales aren't necessarily dialed to fit that. So I'm excited to look into the couple that you've mentioned to see how they'll work.
Good. Shawn, how about you? Is this, you've done some of my training in the past. I've kind of moved away from my old traditional training to more coaching. Any comments, or hopefully this was helpful for you?
Yeah, I think it's super helpful to sit down and kind of evaluate where you are, and that's hard to do inside, right? You almost need somebody to ask you the questions, because you don't want to ask them yourself.
Yeah.
And like Terran said, some of these solutions, we've looked at Evosus at the trade shows, and it always felt way too enterprise, right? We're just this little, we have a couple of stores. We're not, this giant nationwide franchise, and that's the balance of what we're looking for. And I hope that these solutions enable us to provide the better customer experience, and especially if I take off for a week.
Yes, especially that. Good. Megan, I don't have any further comments unless you have. I'll pass it back off to you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate you being willing to kind of share this and say out loud some of these things, because it's the same stuff that so many retailers that I hear from are dealing with. And so you are not alone. And so thank you for sharing with everybody else kind of what you're going through. And I hope that we can check back in with you guys to see if you've found something that works, if you've been able to get some new systems in place that help you have a little bit of a break, Shawn, and be able to go on vacation and enjoy yourself. So, I mean, that's the hard thing for small business owners, or medium to large business owners as you're getting there. So, I really appreciate your guys' time, and thank you so much. And we will check back in. I will put notes with the video for all of the stuff that we talked about, the links, places where you can check out the software, the digital door counters and all that kind of stuff, so that other retailers who are interested can check into that as well. But I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this first coaching video that we've done.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.